well. I'm Allan Friesen, also known as the Acapellist, and with me is Brother Scott Sweetman. Welcome to H3. Brother Scott, you're just enjoying nature, enjoying your puppy on your lap. Nicely done, sir. Tell us more.
Well, those of us that are listening to this on the podcast probably can't see that I'm out sitting in our backyard, but you can probably hear the kids playing in the park and our neighbor using their electric lawnmower to cut their yard. And yeah, nice experience. This
Nice.
week, as you know, in Canada is Mental Health Awareness Week. So I thought that I would take everyone outside with me on a little bit of my mental health break. As you know, at work, we're encouraged to stay mentally healthy and at the top of our game. And each one of our team has different ways. For me, it's getting outside with the pups and the family and just enjoying some fresh air and some relaxing time outside.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. Tell us about your furry friend there.
Well, this is Mochi. Say hi, Mochi. She's a purebred pug. She's a brindle. All three of our dogs are brindles. Her full sister, who's 2 years older than she is, and then we have an Akita pup, who doesn't want to come on camera, and he's all brindle too. So they're a blended family. When we go down the street, people look at them and can't quite figure out if they're puppies or why the two little ones look so different than the big one, but they're all the same color. So.
All right. And that's the color. Brindle's a color that for podcast listeners, what color is brindle?
Well, there's a few types of brindle. That's a great question, Al. Thanks for reminding me. Only 5 to 7% of pugs are brindles. Normally they're fawn or black. Fawn being, that peach color that most people are familiar with. Technically, it's called a fawn. But yeah, they're silver brindles, or these guys are more a traditional brindle or an orange-black brindle. So they have, I don't know if you can see Mochi's hair coming up, but when she came, she was almost pure black, and she's lightening up, and she's got stripes of orange and fawn and black and gray, and I think she has some yogurt on her ears from earlier. So she's been having a mental health day too.
Nice, nice.
But this is actually her first trip outside too, since they can't go outside until they've had their full vaccinations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so puppies get 3 full sets of vaccinations, and it's strongly recommended not to take your puppies outside until they've had their third, because they can get stuff from other dogs that aren't vaccinated. But they're okay in their own backyard after their first set. She's had her first 2, so.
Nice. Did you say the whole week is Mental Health Week?
I believe so, yes. Mental Health Awareness Week. So I have the dates in front of me. Folks, I usually have notes in front of me, but tonight, since I was being so clever and coming outside, I don't have my notes in front of me.
May 6th was wear a hat for mental health.
Yeah, May 6th until the 7 days after that, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Okay, cool, cool. And you even have some audio support. You called a friend to assist you with your notes there. Nice.
Yeah, my friend is on the other side of the camera, and she's our fact checker. She's making sure I don't BS anyone here.
Perfect.
Can you hear that sound? I love that sound of kids playing. Those of you on our podcast, man.
That's awesome.
Oh, and on the farm, we didn't get that noise, right? We got animals playing and carrying on, but the one thing about the city that I can always find peace and happiness is the sound of kids, man. And I've traveled all over, as you know, and even in the various poor countries, kids have fun, they find a way usually.
Yeah.
And even to put, whatever troubles they're having aside for a few minutes and play a silly little game with some rocks or a bit of cloth or something. Yeah, I love that sound.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so in our description for tonight, I put a link to the Canadian Mental. My Akita's exercising his mental health too. Yeah,
nice.
So, yeah, dogs, as you know, are very territorial, and he's just letting people know in the park that as long as they stay in the park, they're okay. But please don't come visit in our yard. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're just referring to your note, Scott?
Yes, I was saying that I put the link in our description on your page and mine and the H3 page, and it'll be up later when I post the podcast. But it's let me find it here. I don't want to get them wrong. I don't want to do them dirty. Canadian Mental Health Association, cmha.ca.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's not too hard to remember. And they have a lot of great resources on there. And there's a toolkit on there if you want to get involved. And they have a really kind of cool campaign going that I thought was really interesting about a call to be kind, because compassion connects us all. And you and I really believe in that, right? That sense of community and how
Definitely.
connection can be so healthy. And really it's like penicillin. It can fix so many things. And there's a great quote, a write-up on it, and the Canadian Mental Health Association is calling for all Canadians to care and to just spread some compassion around, and whether that's with people that you're close with, or whether that's people that you just encounter, it doesn't cost anything to be kind or compassionate.
It does not. No. Just so you know, Scott, totally fine. But when you go to whatever website you're going to, then your camera stops working.
Oh, I'm sorry, Al. I didn't know that. Like I said, this is my first foray into on the scene reporting. So
Exactly. Okay.
did you come back? I see only like a sliver of myself now.
Yeah. No. You're back now. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Yeah. But when you must have been referring to some notes on another screen or something, and then your camera quit. So yeah.
I was. Allan's the natural brilliance of the team. I just look stuff up and I'm here for reference.
Thank you. That's very good. Okay. Look at that, brother. I'm going to send you some hearts your way. Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Calling me natural brilliance. Gotta love that.
Oh, that's perfect for Mental Health Awareness Week.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's I think that I read something really interesting on the website there, and I think it's 92% of Canadians believe they're compassionate, but only 36% consciously made an act of compassion or kindness in the last year.
Yeah. And
so that
it doesn't have to be some big, expensive, heroic gesture. It can be, saying something to your barista that, hey, I like your purple hair, or I like your tie, or whatever it is, right? You can just share the love very easily just by making a kind comment, or just seeing that the other person in front of you, eh?
Well, here where I live, it's kind of a weird neighborhood. They have what's called zero tolerance. And so basically all of our backyards touch, right? Like the outside of our neighbor's house is kind of a part of our, like the property line for where we live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you have two choices. And, our neighbors were just out and they said, oh, how you doing? And we're, how you doing? And, we don't know them that well, but just that little exchange, everyone was smiling and feeling better. And, you could choose to resent the fact that you're so close, or you could make something a little better out of it. Didn't cost them anything to say hello, didn't take much energy, didn't take anything for us to reply in kind, and just exchange some honest, heartfelt, hey, I'm glad you're alive, neighbor. Good to see you're out.
Nice.
And,
Beautiful.
And I think that we talk a lot about making those choices, right? How you react to something.
Yeah. There's so many people that, they go home, they hit the garage door opener, drive into the garage, the door closes behind, go into their big ass house, right? And they're by themselves, and they have no connection, don't know who their neighbors are, don't know anything about them, right? And that's to their detriment, and to the detriment of their neighbors not having any kind of connection, right? So
well, our situation is where we have a little ass house, but a big ass family that goes in it. So lots of love. So
there we go.
That works for us.
Nice.
and no garage, but no, it's really true. And I know that it's become problematic. I know that some of Lethbridge's finest, the Lethbridge Police Force, and I don't say that with any malice. I really appreciate those that serve in our frontline services here in Lethbridge, and anywhere for that matter. I mean, and that's great
hard work. That's hard. That's a hard job to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were out here trying to do some community policing. Some naughty person had been out switching license plates, which could be quite a serious crime depending on what they were using the switch license plates for. But it was just nice to see them out, and they were just chatting and coming by, and those kind of things. That compassion, they were just polite and kind, and asked what needed to be asked and asked how everyone was doing. And my point is that regardless, yes, they were working. Yes, they are, law enforcement. Yes, they're working a case. Now, who knows? That license plate could be very serious. But they took the time to treat everyone with compassion. And we all can make that choice, I think. And that's a great way to donate for Mental Health Awareness Week, is make the choice to be compassionate.
Nice, nice. And so we're encouraging our viewers to make the choice for compassion and do something kind. Say something nice to somebody. You see them. You see somebody that you're walking down the sidewalk and there's a person who's down in luck, a homeless person. Look at him. Say hi. Okay. How you doing, brother?
Yeah.
Can I buy you a sandwich? Right? Those kind of things.
There's so many different ways, and there's a great article on that same webpage about Kevin, I think his name was. I could be wrong. Boy, I'm at a loss without my notes. But it's the story about self-compassion, and you're always one to advocate that to people, right?
Yes, you bet. Being kind to yourself. You betcha. Actually, on that vein, Scott, I don't know if I told you this, our happiness habits course, we had our first one last Sunday, and the next
Woohoo!
one is
How'd it go?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, it went well. And the next one is this coming Sunday, and this coming Sunday it is on self-care specifically. It is on being kind to yourself, doing the things that are going to bolster your mental health, your physical health, and your, just basically showing some love to yourself, so that you can kind of bump up your love meter so that you have more to give to others. So it's a beautiful thing.
That's fantastic. And can people join that, Al, or do they have to have joined in from the very beginning?
I don't know. The Action for Happiness folks took care of all the registration. So yeah.
Well, but you're going to be holding another one of these, right? So if they can't get in, so
yeah,
they can contact you.
We're not the only person doing this course, right? So
Right.
if you go to on the Action for Happiness website and you want to look at a course that's available, then there's a whole bunch of ones you're available, and you might choose to be in one that's going on in the UK, and you meet some folks in the UK as an example. Also, Martha Retreat Center is a happiness center, right? It's going to remind you about the Martha Retreat. Oh, Corolla was just coming in to remind me of the Martha Retreat Center being a center for Action for Happiness. So we're on the same wavelength. My bride and I just linked.
See, that's what's happening to you, but I have to tell you about the treachery that's happening behind the camera here, Al. I have to share this with you and our listeners. Well, tonight, I in a split decision, I decided no studio tonight. I'm going to go outside, right? And so I was already outside, and so we were looking around, and how are we going to film this? And I said, oh, grab that table over there, and I'll put my computer stand on it, and then I'll clip my phone on the computer. Good to go, right? Kind of a ghetto TV stand, but it worked. And what's going on behind me is Michelle's back now, and she's taking pictures at Fleur's urging of all of my gear on the table, because the table was rescued by Katrina. Somebody had put it out by their driveway, and she pulled it home. She said, Dad, this is a perfectly good table. We can use this. And I'm like, take that piece of junk back to where you found it, or put it out in front of our. She's like, no, Dad, there's nothing wrong with it. We don't need another table. We'll use this one. And I swore no one would ever use that table. But here I am using that.
That's great. Well, good for you for being, good enough to admit that, you might have made a mistake when Katrina brought it home. So, yeah.
Well, I confess it was under duress. They were taking the pictures and sending the text as I was telling it. But yeah, no, that kind of compassionate thing, you know, and I really kept it because I honestly didn't think that I would use it, but I am. But Katrina was very compassionate in that she was trying to save the family money, and you know, she doesn't like all the waste that she sees, and she's always looking at ways to get involved. You know, as an education student, she wants to be have integrity when she talks to her students about, you know, environmentalism and things you can do. And so I had to exhibit a little bit of compassion and say, okay, honey, we'll keep the table. Just put it way in the backyard. Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
But even sometimes false compassion pays off, I guess. Anyway, off topic.
Oh,
Those of you who are listening and out in the country, you may not know, but in the big city here of Lethbridge, once a month, you can put stuff out on the corner of your yard. Usually you put a little sign that says free on it, and people who think they can use it pick it up for free and then can use it
beautiful.
instead of sending it to the landfill or something. So
What
it's
a
pretty
great
good in
practice.
our community. Stuff doesn't last very long out there.
Nice.
Somebody finds a use for it.
Is there like a specific day of the month that happens, or?
Yeah, it's a city of Lethbridge thing.
Okay.
I'll find it and I can post it. But it's a great initiative because, you know, landfills are a huge problem, and mostly what you see is like bookshelves or like tables. Sometimes I saw an office chair out. Somebody had put out the last time around. That, you know, if you're looking for that and you don't mind a little bit of use, often they're far from garbage. Like obviously this table that I'm on is very sturdy and stable and does exactly what a table should do. And it'd be a waste for this just to end up in a landfill.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no,
Reuse,
so
reuse, recycle, right?
yeah, well, be compassionate to the planet too. I think goes in there as well.
Sure.
Um, Part of the thing that we were reading on the Mental Health Week is that there increasingly there's more people who find it hard to be consciously compassionate.
Mm-hmm. They
And
probably, what do you think the reason for that be? Fear of being rejected or that kind of a thing? You know, that they're going to extend themselves to say something nice to somebody and somebody will kind of dismiss them or be angry at them. Is that kind of thing?
I think that's great insight. I think too the media whips up a lot of fear that, you know, strangers are somebody you have to watch out for, and you know, yes, you have to be safe and everything has to be considered, but you know, I think that ties into it, and I think that people are a little overwhelmed with all the messages that we get about the things we should do.
Mm.
You know what I mean? We're bombarded pretty heavily with, um, and not that the messages are bad, but a lot of them are insincere. A lot of them are just marketing, you know, ploys to help somebody's image. But I think people are a little leery of just, you know, hey, how's it going today? They always think there's a sales pitch or something coming after it. So
Right. Right. Yeah. What kind of bird singing in the background there? Do you know?
we have a very
Oh,
fat.
it's a little tiny guy.
Oh, it's not. Fleur's looking at it. I can't see this behind me. Sounds like
On the
a
cherry tree.
chickadee, maybe?
Yeah.
Chickadee, I think. We also have a big, I mean, big. He's on steroids and working out.
Blue
Whiskey
jay.
Jack, Blue Jay.
Ooh.
Yeah. Have you ever been attacked by a mother blue jay?
I have not. Have you?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. That's what spurred that rather strange and spontaneous question.
Well,
Yeah,
tell us
little
more.
baby blue jay. Sorry?
Tell us more about this attack.
I was launching into the blue jay
Oh,
assault story. Yeah. I was in my grandparents' yard and they were there, and this little baby blue jay fell out of this nest, and my grandparents were like, oh, you know, and there's cats all over. And so I jump up and I sort of dash towards this little guy with the intent of putting him back in his nest. Mama blue jay was not having any of that. She whacked me in the back of the head, dove right back to my head, knocked me off balance and knocked me down. She was pretty excited about that. And yeah, we eventually were able to fend her off and get the little bird back up in the nest. But some people said that she wouldn't accept it anyway, but she sure seemed to. She was
nice.
feeding them all, looking after them there. So
Yeah. Cool.
as a kid, I used to take in sick or hurt birds and raise them back to health. I had converted an old granary into like an aviary, and on the farm we would see a lot of little birds hurt during harvest season or in the spring when they were born, and we had a lot of cats, so I'd rescue them. And birds aren't that hard to, well, I shouldn't say that. The people at the Birds of Prey Sanctuary probably have a little more problems than I had with sparrows and magpies, but yeah, no, it was interesting to see them nurse back to health and then set them free.
One time Corolla found a bat that was like in the water, like she was in a bucket with water and was like
Oh
kind of just
no.
about drowned, the little bugger. So she goes and she rescues the bat, brings it food and everything, and nurses it back to health, right? That kind of a thing. And she after the bat was in good enough health that she thought she could release it to the wild, she goes out and she gently goes and sets it in this branch of this tree, and as she's bringing her hands back, one of her cats just goes zooms up and gets the bat. Like, it was just like, oh, thanks honey, this is what I was looking for.
Yeah, thanks mom. Oh yeah, well, bats, I know in the farm we had a different relationship with bats than we did here, because we loved the fact we had huge swarms of bats on the farm, and they would come out in the early evening, and you could just see them diving and whipping through the twilight after the mosquitoes and other bugs, and it was quite beautiful. They're not really appreciated in the city quite as much, though.
No, yeah.
We have bat boxes down at the range, right? Didn't we put some up there a few years
I
ago?
believe so. Yeah, I've never actually, I haven't even seen where they're located, but I believe there are bat boxes there. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, again, we talk about compassion and compassion for wildlife or creatures that are smaller than us. And I know we tried to hatch out some bees here because in our neighborhood, all at once, some of the big traditional fruit trees were cut down. New families moved in and they didn't like the old trees and they cut a bunch of them down. And our local bee population just nosedived. And the trees that were left were having trouble propagating and getting pollinated. So we raised a little colony of bees and reintroduced them. I don't know how many of them made it, but yeah, you can order them from BC and they'll tell you how to get them started. And it's pretty interesting. They were cutter bees. Have you heard of those?
I have not.
They
don't make honey.
They don't make honey. They pollinate, and they cut plants to make little doors really on their capsules, and that's why they're called cutter bees, because of this cutting of plants. But they were pretty interesting to raise. It's a little cold in our winters for them, but you see bee houses out in the fields where farmers are using them to pollinate.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if our viewers, if you have seen, they're usually under kind of an orange tarp. Do you guys have them around your house, Al, out there on the ranch?
No, but I have seen those orange tarps that you're referring to. I didn't know those were specifically for cutter bees, but that's a good to know.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they're all cutter bees, but generally, if it's the ones I'm envisioning, I haven't described them very well, but if you've seen them, you know what I mean. And they're normally a sign that a farmer is using bees to pollinate, and they're colored like that so people know they're there and don't damage them, or because a beehive is quite an investment in ecology, right? They're destroying a beehive is a big hit to a local ecology. Have you ever seen the lady, and I keep tying everything back to compassion, but have you ever seen the lady, I think she's on TikTok, that saves beehives?
I have not.
Really interesting, and I'll look her up, and I love it when she does a new one. And she travels around the city she's in, and bees like her. She doesn't wear any special equipment or gloves or gear or anything. And she takes a hair clip and she puts it around the queen of a hive that's, say, set up like at a construction site or in an old car or somewhere where the bees are going to be destroyed if they don't move. And so she uses an ordinary hair clip that makes a little cage around the queen, and she puts that in a transportation hive. And then she slowly moves the honeycombs, or by hand, she'll scoop up handfuls of these bees and move them into the new hive, the transportation hive. And then she sets them up out in the country where they're safe.
Really? Wow. And the bees don't even sting her. She doesn't wear any gloves or special gear.
No.
Wow.
And
Does she use the smoke? Does she use the smoke to kind of?
I've never seen her use smoke, but I imagine that she could.
Hmm.
But I know that she doesn't wear protective gear, and I've met people before that bees tend not to sting them, something to do with pheromones. Or I had one person tell me that once you get over being scared of bees, if they don't sense fear, they won't sting you. But I don't know if that's true or not.
Hmm. Well, you
I
have
don't
a
like getting stung, so I've never hung around to find out if they can sense my fear or not.
I understand. Well, since you have like fact checkers on site, I'm sure we'll get a report on that before the end of the episode here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. What do you have when you have teachers with an arm's race? I don't need my notes. Just need the team. We're like the live news team here. We got fact checkers. We got it all.
Exactly.
So, what would your message be, Al, for Mental Health Awareness Week? What's something that you would say to people? Hey, this thing will make your life and other people's lives better. Go do this right now. It's not going to cost you a bunch of money. You don't need to set up a bunch of stuff. Just go do this thing.
Well, everybody knows activities that restore them, right? That they get settled in, they get very present with whatever that is. I think for some people, it might be going to the shooting range and being there for every trigger press, right? Being there for that experience. For some, it might be yoga. For some, it might be singing. For some, it might be just listening to music. For some, it might be sitting in the yard holding on to their dog and petting their dog. For some, it might be just sitting around the fire and looking at the fire, watching the flames and hearing the crackle of the wood, right? Oh,
That's my Akita saying hello. He talks a lot.
does he? Okay. I thought he wasn't not. I thought he had something to add to my list that I was just given there or
Well,
something.
I think he's saying that some people like to sing, Al, is what he's
Ah,
saying. He loves,
nice.
he's like you. He loves to go out and sing for half an hour, at least until the neighbors are getting tired of him, and then he comes back in. He does. He comes out just to hear himself, and he'll yodel away and carry on. And
It's odor and moving slowly.
Nice, nice.
oh,
So, anyways, the
yeah.
point is, what activities are beneficial for you to get you to the present moment, to kind of just like that you can be present with, and it restores you. And so, make the time. Like, I'm too busy for that. I can't do it. It's selfish for me to try and take care of myself. Take care of yourself. Invest in your health and well-being by doing whatever activity restores. A walk out in the park. Whatever it is, calling somebody up on the phone and having a chat, right? That kind of a thing. So whatever it is for you, make sure you take the time to do it.
Well said, brother. And I think that, you and I have done this for quite a while, and you did this with another fellow before I came on. And, we know that when we do a show, at least two people are going to feel better afterward.
Yeah, you and me.
Exactly right. And it's funny because, obviously we don't make any money for doing this, and you pay for our hosting and stuff. And, but of course we hope a lot of other people can share in our time together and feel better, and join us here on the show or share comments with us. But just getting together with a friend and talking for 30 minutes like we do, you don't have to broadcast it to the world, but just setting that time aside really improves our week, I think, Al. Certainly for me it does.
I agree as well, Scott. It is an enjoyable activity for us to kind of share a conversation and see where it goes, right? Just kind of to block out the time to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that would be my advice to people is just, set 30 minutes aside this week to have just a good old BS session with somebody. Just sit down and talk about the weather or talk about sports or whatever you might find you have in common. And if you don't know, then start the conversation by asking questions and find out what you might have in common.
You bet. No, that's great advice.
Yeah, I think we all get a little scared of asking questions. I'm always surprised how many times when, I run into somebody and I think, boy, that was They sure weren't, you know, to use your words, harvesting what I was swathing. But usually it's because there's something else going on in their life. You know, something's happened or they're trying to deal with some stuff. And it doesn't mean that your conversation wasn't beneficial to them. Maybe they just didn't have much to give back that day.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
You're getting a new bird is singing you out here, Al.
Oh,
That's our 30-minute nature timer saying we've been on for 30 minutes.
have we really?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that
Oh my
crazy?
goodness. I didn't realize we were already there. So, well, brother, I think that if this was to get together and have a chat for 30 minutes, that was enjoyable. I think we did it. So let's take us home there,
we
brother.
did a good job. And I really do recommend people check out the Canadian Mental Health Association. A lot of organizations have website, special events and things going on for the week. So just look around. It's all around you, and promise to spend 30 minutes doing something to uplift yourself and include somebody else in the fun.
Keep well. Get a matching to our Indigenous brothers and sisters. See ya.
Thank you, Al. Good night, everyone. See you next week.